Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. I have always struggled with alocasias and honestly I continue to struggle with them, but there's definitely some things that I've learned about them along the way to help me grow them better. But the biggest problem with growing these plants, it's actually me. I'm the biggest problem, and I'll explain why. Thankfully enough, not all of my alocasias look like this limp guy right here, but alocasias need consistent care. Generally, I'm in underwater and sometimes they get really dry, and alocasias absolutely hate that. They need consistent soil moisture, so they can't be like soggy or wet for too long, but they can't dry out because when they dry out, they have very thin fibrous roots. I'm just gonna take it. Oh boy, that's a lot of roots. So as you can see, they have very thin fibrous roots, which I'll talk more about this guy here in a little bit. But when you allow those roots to dry out, they become basically little dust balls. And when you water them, then they rot. So you can actually get rot or root rot from drying out the roots and then watering. And yeah, it's not good. I was actually looking around at my collection here to see if there was an example plant. Didn't really find one until I saw this one right here. This leaf is starting to turn yellow. This one's getting a little bit droopy. I'm going to show you the roots here in a second. But what has been kind of the biggest game changer for me, and this is in reference to watering, is placing my plants in pond, lechuza pond. It is semi-hydro, so you have these self-watering pots. Very similar to these ones, and you can keep a little bit of water at the bottom. That way the roots will always be hydrated, I guess you can say. Now, if you forget to water them or if you let them get too dry, like this one right here, it's completely dry. You can start to see roots. These small secondary roots are starting to turn brown. Eventually, these will just rot right off. So this is a perfect example of letting it get too dry. So I forgot to add water to the reservoir. Even when you have a plant in semi-hydro or just regular soil, it can be really difficult to just kind of dial in the correct watering for these. But kind of the interesting thing about these plants is even though this plant looks like it's dying, it may lose all its leaves like this one, but it's not actually dead. Alocasias need a few consistent things, and I'm talking like really consistent. So the first one being light. I have all my alocasias under grow lights, so they get consistent light for about 12 to 13 hours a day. They're all on timers. I try and keep the watering consistent with these semi-hydro and self-watering pots, but as you can see, sometimes they do dry out and it just kind of gets away from you. Another really important thing is temperature for these guys. So they don't like huge temperature swings. Right now in my house here, it is 23 degrees, so that is kept fairly consistent. So if you have a kind of a rapid drop in temperature, then these may go dormant as well. Another important thing is to have consistent fertilizer or nutrients. Now, if any of those are lacking, so light, temperature, anything like that, then they tend to go dormant. They will store all their energy in the stem or the rhizomes. So although the leaves will completely fall off and die, similar to this one, checking the stem to make sure that it is still firm means that it is still alive and it's simply gone dormant. It's just storing all its energy until those consistent conditions can return. Now this little turd looking thing here is a rhizome. It is the stem of an alocasia, and I believe this is the Jacqueline. I'm storing it right here on my little tray, just like right beside my utility knife. This is dormant. When I plant it in a pot again and give it consistent light, temperature, water, and nutrients, it will regrow. But when a plant goes down to like 1 or 2 leaves or like this, then obviously they are not very aesthetically pleasing to look at, and most times people just end up throwing them out. Now, not all of mine look like absolute trash. I do have a few that look pretty decent. This one is the Alocasia Golden Bone. It has recently lost one of its largest leaves just because, again, I let it get too dry. It just kind of slips away, and yeah, by the time you realize it, it's kind of too late. So it does have a lot of these smaller roots that are browning, but it does have some nice white roots in there as well. So this is one of my favorites. Yeah, it's just a very beautiful variety. So a lot of times when people show plants on Instagram and they're like large and full and luscious, a lot of times they'll have multiple plants in one pot. This is the Alocasia michelolitziana. It's also known as the Friedeck, but the Friedeck is actually the variegated version, which mine has gone dormant. little stubs. So this one, it's a little bit difficult for me, even though it's in really good light. I'm not giving up on that one. So this is probably one of my favorite alocasias. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's loving the pond, or lechuza pond. Let's see if it has some decent roots. So, a little bit spindly on the bottom. They're a little brown. So again, I let these get too dry. So will I be giving up on alocasias? Absolutely not. I'm not really buying any new ones. I'm just continuing to learn from the ones that I have, and I'm trying to be more consistent with their care. I have gotten rid of a ton of plants, like probably 75% of my philodendrons, gone, simply because of thrips. Now, alocasias, they're a little bit more prone to spider mites, but I have found thrips on them in the past. But so far, this one specifically is looking pretty good. I'm not giving up on alocasias. I'm just trying to focus on the ones that I have. Now, I did have someone ask about the cuprea. This one I've had for probably 3 or 4 years, and I cannot get it to grow more than like 1 or 2 leaves at a time. But again, the problem is me. I let it get too dry. So I'm really happy to see this newest leaf starting to come out. They are absolutely beautiful, and I'm hoping that I can consistently give it what it needs so I get those large leaves. Very much like Jake the plant guy. He's got a beautiful one. I do have a few others up here. One of my favorites is the alocasia batwing. I'm trying to get this one to grow larger because it has these beautiful V-shaped leaves, very similar to the Jacqueline here. I do have another one down there, right down there, kind of in between my monstera and another philodendron. So it's right down here. Whoops, got my finger caught in a fenestration. That's right down there. So I've been really watching this one, and the leaves, they are crisp. They are looking beautiful. I do have the dragon's breath up here. It has sprouted a couple little side shoots or corms or whatever. And this one right here, the New Guinea Gold, is another one of my favorites, but I really have trouble with this one. It doesn't want to grow, but I can see it is actually getting a new leaf. So that is exciting. So I do have a couple up there. So yeah, I absolutely love alocasia, but I'm still learning from each and every one of them. Now, this might just be my opinion, but as long as you can provide them with that consistent care, so watering, light, temperature, and nutrients, then humidity for most varieties really isn't an issue. And I'll show you why. So my house right now is 36%. It gets really dry in the winter time as we are using forced heat, or I do have a furnace. So they're not browning or anything like that. Everything looks really, really healthy, no crispy edges, nothing. When you kind of go out of the window for watering, like if you let it get too dry, that's where I find you get the yellowing leaves or things like that, and they start to look a little bit droopy. It simply means that their needs are not being met and that they're kind of going into that dormant state. As long as you can kind of correct those issues and provide it that consistent care, then they tend to perk up. This is one of my favorite alocasias. This is the Gaggiana aurea. And I just want to show this right here. So this is the one that has that massive root system. Look at all of these corms. Like, it is busting with corms. These are all corms. They're all new plants. I'm going to take them off. So all I do is just twist them off like that. Set them aside, and then you can propagate them into a whole entirely new plant. This is my sphagnum moss prop box. I have 2 green on green monstera cuttings in here. Look at that thing. That thing is getting swollen. It is ready to bust out. And same with that one right here. But I do have a couple other alocasia corms. I can't remember which variety this is, but the best way to propagate them is just put them in like perlite or sphagnum moss and just let them grow. Okay, I'm going to sacrifice this pot here, and if you guys watch Plants with Crystal, she always says, we're doing it. So I'm going to chop this up and see if we can get this plant out in one piece. This is just a cheap Amazon pot, so I'm not really too concerned about this one. If it was something like this, that's a different story, but this one, I'm going to cut the sides off and see if I can get the root system out that way. Well, so far so good. I got the majority of the roots out, it looks like. I'm just using my utility knife to just go along, and again, watching my fingers, just going along these little grooves and just cutting it out like this. Now I'm going to soak the roots because I don't want them to dry out, because I don't want them to go into too much shock, which there will be some root loss for sure, but I'm trying to minimize that. Okay, the roots grew into the... Okay, so it is free. Now I'm just trying to maybe untangle some of the roots. I'm thinking probably the best game plan is to shorten these up a little bit. So I'm gonna keep some of these longer ones, but it looks like these are maybe 1 or 2 longer strands. I'm going to see if I can sort it out a little bit, but I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a prune. So 1 long strand. So something like that I think will be okay. It still has a really large, nice root system. I have the 12-liter big bag of Lechuza Pon. This stuff was pretty expensive, but I got it off Amazon. Now this stuff is dry. I'm not going to like soak it or strain it before I place the plant in. All I'm going to do is just add a little bit into the bottom here as a base layer. Just because it is so dry, I'm just going to water it right now. So I'm going to keep down not only the dust, but it'll help settle that a little bit better. So now all I'm going to do is just dump in the Lechuza Pon and water as I go. Just dump it in like that, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of water. After I'm done completely repotting this, then I'll take it over to the bathroom. I'll empty out the catch pot here, or cash pot, whatever you want to call it. The reservoir, I'm going to just empty that and add in some fresh water after. Now, the one thing that I like about Lechuza Pon, a couple things, is when you water it, it like just locks it in, so it's not going to be floppy or anything like that. The other thing I like is that it actually has slow release fertilizer in this mixture. It comes with a non-fertilizer one, but these little orange balls, those are slow release fertilizer, which is great for alocasias because I don't have to remember to fertilize them. So, okay, got the reservoir up to kind of almost the top. It's in the new fresh Lechuza Pon. This thing is solid. So I am going to reuse the Lechuza Pon, which was in the other pot. I'm just going to let it dry out because it does have these like little roots. So I'm just going to let those dry out and then I'll strain it. So I will be reusing this. Oh, I got to retract that. Safety first. So yeah, I think that's probably one of my biggest problems with these plants and them not upsizing or getting larger leaves is I really don't upsize the pots. Like I have a lot of these smaller ones, but clearly by the root system this one had, it definitely needs a larger pot. So I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. Let me know how you grow your alocasias and if you've found the secret. Yeah, otherwise I appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching my videos, everyone. Take care. Bye.